Okay, it's great to see you too.
Good to see you also, Nick. Thank you for
Um,
having us.
and we'll see how the internet gets on, but it's great to be able to give some feedback to MAI supporters right from the Chinchapata Christian Hospital.
Yes.
Yes.
Um, Obviously, the world's going through some strange challenges at the moment. I wonder if you could just start by giving us a good idea about maybe how you're feeling right now.
Yeah. We thank God for His protection and care upon us. And we've been through a few challenges, but He has brought us through, and we're feeling good. And it's also good to have the kids with us.
And on the hospital front, of course, we've been quite busy for various reasons. One, of course, is the pandemic, and also the peculiar situation we are in where most surrounding facilities shut down because of the pandemic initially, with lots of patients coming to us. So it's been a busy time.
And has being a designated COVID centre made a particular difference to that, would you say?
Well, not really, because we've had quite a few COVID patients, and we've been able to make another ward, a section of the ward for those people. We've not had too many at a particular time, but we've had lots of non-COVID patients. So that has kept us really busy. And we praise God for the team which has been there. And we praise God that, we've been able to handle both sides, although that may have been a challenge if we were a very small team.
Yeah. Obviously, we were there with you just at the beginning of March, and then we saw that the lockdown in April and May was a real challenge. On UK TV, we saw some of the pictures of people having to walk from the cities back to the countryside in India. Can you tell us a bit more about how that affected the kind of the people that you're working with in your area?
One of the biggest challenges was to see these people actually walking by and living out in the fields in the hot sun. In those days, it was about 40 degrees centigrade, 40 to 45 degrees centigrade, and with no food or water. And we praise God that we were able to help them, especially with the help from MAI. And also, a lot of the poor people who were coming to us could not afford medicines or the services. And we were able to help close to 250 people with medications and treatment, and about 2,500 families over 5 months through generous donations from MAI and also support which other people had raised.
So that was providing food, was it, for those 2,500 families?
Yes. Ration kits for the 2,500 families and medications and treatments for the others.
Okay.
And so these food kits were actually the team, the palliative care team that is supported by MAI was instrumental in, identifying the most vulnerable families in the communities with the help of the volunteers. And then they went and distributed these food kits to the families in the communities. Yes.
Okay. And I mean, when we were with you in March, I think going out with the palliative care team was one of the biggest privileges for us. It was just great to see the work, that you're taking out into the community. Is that still being affected by COVID-19, or how's that affected the palliative care work, Ashita?
Yeah. So Nick, initially there was a little anxiety about how the community would accept the palliative care team coming out to them and whether it was wise to continue the service. But the team was really passionate and we couldn't keep them in. And we got permissions from the government officials for the hospital vehicle to continue to make palliative care visits. And although initially there was a little anxiety in the communities, but because of the value of the service in the community, this work has just continued seamlessly, and we've really not had long periods, maybe a few weeks here and there where the team has not been able to go either because someone on the team was ill. But apart from that, it's just continued. And in fact, what we've seen is that there are a few more patients we have now than we had before.
Okay.
During the pandemic. And so that work has really continued, and it's a great blessing.
Okay.
So it's very precious and valuable, and we are very grateful to MAI for this partnership.
No, that's great. Thank you. You talked a bit, Deepak, about being able to keep COVID patients separate in the hospital, but obviously MAI supporters have been raising money now towards the new isolation unit. Could you just very quickly talk a bit about the need for that?
This is something which we have been dreaming of ever since we've seen the amount of tuberculosis in the community. On any given day, we have about 3 to 5 patients who are sputum positive for tuberculosis among us. So we were thinking of having an isolation area for them, dedicated so that they can be taken care of, and also so that the staff and other people do not get infected. And with the onset of the pandemic, it has become even more urgent and important to have a separate area where we can actually have proper facilities for staff and also for the patients and their families, so that they can actually have, one, be separate, and two, have a proper treatment in isolation given to them. And this would actually be a big blessing for our community.
Okay, yes, I'd say when we were with you was before really we knew what the pandemic was going to be like, and yet even then we talked about the need for this unit. So, so no, it's a great vision. Perhaps you could just close by just giving us a few ideas of what people could pray for you here in the UK.
Yes, I think one of the main things we are actually looking at now is the second line leadership, that God would raise up committed people who can carry on this work here, because we've often talked about viability and feasibility of the projects we undertake. And the second thing is for our patients, because we are getting increasing number of very poor people who are coming from all over the place, and who are in dire need of not only medication but also surgery and other things. And the third would be wisdom and understanding as we undertake some of these projects, that God would, give us discernment and also guidance through these coming days, especially these challenges which we face in the pandemic.
And I think, like Deepak said also, that God would continue to flourish the work of the hospital. It's really amazing to see what He has done and to be a part of this, and that God would open ways for the people here to be able to recover from the effects of the pandemic, that children would have education, that people would have sustenance and good health.
Yeah, well, as you know, when we visited you, it was a real honour to see how God is just shining His light in that community through the Chinchpada Christian Hospital, and we're really grateful for your time today and sharing some more about that. So God bless you both.
Thank
you.
Nick,
Thank
and
you so
thank you
much.
to MAI.